We're gonna do it again.
We're about to start building a farm, so to speak. Growing up with vegetables, salt restaurants. We're going to sell mostly to restaurants and individuals who have to come to the retail.
I don't know what percentage of these they lose at each session. We just put them in their pocket. Not to steal them, but just to walk away with them.
I thought they were giveaways.
Are you with me?
At another workshop, I thought they were little calculators.
Hello? Everybody found a table? You will need to clear out the middle of the table. Please take one of the pens. Please, you will also need post-it notes in the middle of the table. It's supposed to be a big piece of paper so everybody can see it.
Not call me the doctor for nothing. And I'm not.
Here's how, let's do it this way. When you're ready to proceed, turn and look at me, and then I'll know you're ready to proceed. Yeah, you may have to remove it.
We got guilted into it.
Yeah.
That'd
be more useful.
By the way, if you want coffee, it's all right. Go get it. All right. Here's what we're going to do. The morning session, up until lunchtime, we're going to talk about impact. And in the afternoon, after you've assessed the impact, we're going to talk about opportunities and strategies for dealing with that impact. I did a lot of homework for this thing and discovered that there's quite a lot of discussion about what you can be reducing your own impact, but there's very little discussion or advice that I have found about how do I deal with the impact on me or on my business of climate change, and that's what we're going to do this morning. There are 4 sections. You have 2 of them in front of you now. The first one is infrastructure, and I think you can see the infrastructure. I've broken it down. There's water, electricity, sanitation, communication, and transportation, if I'm not mistaken. Now, your assignment is you're going to take a post-it note, you're going to pick a color, and the color key is on the right-hand side of the chart, in case you forget what I'm saying. High impact is red, low impact is green, and the colors are in between. Okay? You're going to write your name or your company name on the post-it note when you put it down, and that's so that when we get all the post-it notes on there, you can remember who said what. What do you believe that the impact of climate change will be on water infrastructure? What do you believe the impact will be on electric? And I realized after I put electricity on here, I maybe should have made it energy, because after I heard Brenda this morning talking about having gas, going, oh my God. So is the gas utility in the room, have I offended somebody? I have, yeah. I apologize profusely. You can cross out electricity and write energy if you like instead. Right?
On the microphone.
Because the same thing applies. Transportation, communication. By communication, I mean the cell phone and the internet. Okay? Now, let me give you some examples in order to get you into the thing. What is the single biggest use of water in the United States after agriculture, which is 75% of water goes to grow stuff? The single biggest use of water in the United States, what is it? Sorry? No, and in fact, potable water is like less than 10%. The single biggest use of water is to cool electric power plants. That's the single biggest use. So, if we don't have water, electricity is going to be an issue. I can tell you. And you may, if you have a utility person at your table, you may want to ask, can they use salt water, seawater, instead of fresh water? Right? Because you will quickly want to see if you can do that, and I suspect that the answer is no. One of the greatest risks of sea level rise is that the drinking water in coastal areas will become too salty to drink because seawater will infiltrate the potable water supply. Sea level rise will damage underground utility pipes. Electricity. There are 280 plants and refineries along coastal areas in the United States. I did not have time to look up how many of them are in New Jersey, but I bet a bunch of them are, right? That will be affected. Think in your head, Fukushima, right? Right on the coast, right on the coastline. Right? In this case, so we're not talking about earthquake, we're talking about flood. Power loss is an obvious issue. In communications,
Let's split them up.
remember that Verizon had 2 switches in the basement of the World Trade Center, right? So when that disaster struck, they lost communications as well. To the extent that your communication lines are above ground and the utility poles fall over because the ground becomes too moist and they can't support it anymore, that's an issue. To the extent that those communication lines are underground, you would also lose them. Right? Now, in each case here, you're being asked, do you think that's high, that the climate change and flooding will impact electricity high, medium, and low? Red, orange, yellow, blue, or green. And when you put your answer down, you write your name or your organization's name on the Post-it note, and you can put the Post-it note anywhere you like on the table. But the most important part, Debbie will kill me if I don't emphasize this, on the impact table itself. Why did you think that it would be high, medium, or low? What is it that you were concerned about? Now, I would add, each of you can write on the table, write on the chart in your own handwriting if you like. I believe you will discover that some people have better handwriting than others, speaking as a person who has miserable handwriting. So it may be that you want to designate a scribe at the table to write the answers on the thing so that they become readable. When we get all done here, you have 10 minutes on infrastructure and you have 10 minutes on people. When you get all done, we're going to paste them on the wall. We got tape and we got easels, and each table is going to pick just one thing to share with everybody else. When I say one thing, that is, we talked about this, and the thing that stood out was we all agreed that the biggest impact would be in sanitation. And here's why we all agreed that. More likely is we talked like crazy, and I don't know what's the matter with the other people at my table, but we couldn't agree on a single thing. But the issue that caught our attention and that we wanted to talk about most was X. Right? This is not a show and tell. This is trying to make sure that we get through the day in 3 hours. So I can only give each of you one thing to talk about. What was the one thing that you learned or thought was most valuable? With respect to the people section, I have given you sections, I have given you different kinds of people, starting with employees and customers and stakeholders. What's a stakeholder? A stakeholder may be a shareholder if you're a public company. It may be an investor if you're a venture capital funded startup. And it may be, in fact, if you're a small business, a sole owner and proprietor, your family is a stakeholder, isn't it? I mean, if your business goes to hell, the family is affected. And at last, I think as I was thinking about that, I think that most important for a small business owner, speaking from my own experience, is your family, right? If your business is flooded, what is going to happen to your family? If your kids can't go to school because the road to the school is wiped out, that's going to affect your ability to do business, right? To go and do work. So the idea here is, I don't want you to think about likelihood. I want you to assume that it's going to happen, that the sea level is going to rise, that the incident occurrences of flooding are going to increase. I read a report before I came that said New Jersey can expect in many coastal areas up to 80 high water flooding incidents per year from now on as a result of increased sea level. But I assume it's going to happen. Which ones of these things are you most concerned about from a business perspective? Right? You with me? And I see, can somebody hold it here? These people are not wasting a lot of time. This is exactly how I want it to look. Right? Now, you'll notice that I can't tell whether this one is water or electricity or communication, and you may want to write that on there if you're going to end up with a table like this. If you think that the impact is going to be the same on all of these infrastructure, just put down one Post-it note. My guess is that most of you will think water is going to be more important or be affected higher or lower than sewage than sanitation or transportation. Please note that transportation includes road, rail, airports, and marine. Both LaGuardia and Newark are in floodplains, 50-year floodplains. So you can expect in the next 50 years that you're going to be swimming to the airport instead of taking a taxi. All right? Everybody get it? Put your name on the Post-it note, write your reasons on the table. I will give you 20 minutes on this, 10 minutes on each one. I will give you warning. The idea is to talk to each other.
Sea level rise. Yeah. Create 80 floods in this coastal area each year.
So, what's going to impact the most? What's going to have a high impact and what's going to have a low impact because of this sea level rise?
So we just need to rank those 5 factors. Is that right, Colin?
Yeah. I suppose you can rank them all high if you wanted to.
I guess so. We have the added benefit of having Kai with us, who's a member of the Department of Environmental Protection in the state of New Jersey. He knows all about this.
But I'm not in charge of causing floods, okay?
The question I just had was, do I want you to rank them priority? No, not at all. It is possible for you to think that they're all high impact and you're going to use up the red tab colors on your phone. It is also possible for you to think that they're all going to be blue or green or something.
Transportation is a high impact.
This is not a ranking exercise, but you may have ranking in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was sea level flooding, then we wouldn't be able to.
It's a little warmer now.
Yeah, I would say that's a high impact.
You probably be there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Thank you.
I feel like it's
Should have bought more red tab.
I guess.
I guess I'm looking at myself like I have a home business, so these are the same.
But it's flooding, loss of electricity.
All of the we have an outage at your house. All of those going into intervening or going to a because they can tell us that have the first responders
But also, I guess Elizabeth, that's the same thing. I mean, we should be able to tell them, you know, that's
any one of these 5 areas, they have a priority.
we do. I mean, they have like 1%.
When you finish it down, reasons being done, excellent, excellent. And I see people putting which category too. Perfect. Please tell each other. I'm not emphasizing sharing.
What's the thing with water?
I wrote water.
Yeah.
Water is, you're out of water. You can go without food for 7 days. You can go without water for 18 hours.
Emphasize enough that the idea is that you are sharing in the discussion with the other people on the table. Don't just write down your answer.
Yeah, but that's the content we need.
It's hard to distinguish things. Oh, I agree. You can't like take a shower with bottled water.
I'm not worried about shower. I'm more worried about drinking.
Okay.
And all of that potable water, when you start buying bottled water, first of all, it's very expensive. Secondly, you have huge landfill issues it's crazy.
Cell towers are like high enough that they're.
Well, it's very interesting. He's talking about Verizon, but the people over in Maniloka are raising absolute pain because they made the decision not to put hard telephone lines in Maniloka. They're forcing everyone there to go wireless. Yeah, and they are because of the flooding. And the consumer reaction there has been very, very negative.
And then we also have a gap in bridge. So you had the temporary worker calling all of the salespeople going, so do I go to work, do I not go to work, showing up for work, can you penalize me for late? It was really, by the schools to get
You guys are doing absolutely great. I'm going to bring you table 2 here.
Yeah, so this table is ready to go. Well, and that's what somebody
Are you guys ready? Oh, so you ready?
just finishing up. Have like 6 years.
Probably acres.
This is a long haul. You need to make sure you have your labor people available.
That's a big issue. Are you on the vehicle section now? That's very much needing to move on to the vehicle. This is the problem with trying to cram climate change into 3 hours. We need to move on to people because there's another task coming in a few minutes.
And the technology,
The
technology exists and it's not expensive.
I had to put down a total number, hoping that not all of them will be read.
It's hard to say which part.
You guys all go up to work?
You're not suited. So how do you think these will be equipped?
This is your road too, right?
You didn't do any of number 2.
No, I didn't. I had to answer an email.
But you don't have to get back.
I know, now I'm behind.
Done. We're just about done now.
I live in West Long Branch.
Do you think it's going to seriously? Why do you think it's so serious? There you go.
Yeah, I understand.
Under your organization, I'm not asking you to imagine another organization. I'm hoping that one of these 4 categories covers everybody, whatever your organization is, and you should answer for your own organization. Retail and service. Retail is physical retail. Services is Kinko's and FedEx, print shops. I don't know whether there are any manufacturers of any of that. I do notice there were a lot of manufacturers. I would expect this to say, you would expect to be impacted because people could be demanding their services. That's what I would expect. And up here, These are what I believe to be the components of
Whether it's a major storm which is coming in.
I guess if, you know, for example, Sandy events, they have us be
supposed to be
Where the residential promotion where one of our chief engineers is like, and that literally had no power and everything else. He gets us another rate.
sorry, Stacy put that on the backing.
Yeah.
So you couldn't see it.
No, we're good.
At least you gotta take care of your family. Otherwise you're gonna be missing.
you don't think
Same
they're
in
family.
exactly the same approach.
We know that. Prepare.
Right. Been addressed.
As part of your right.
It's part of your
Yeah, we're taking care of it. So if you're not, you don't put that in. But if you're a public service organization, and I'm expecting you to say, because I expect you to be.
They're the one thing that we're offering. Absolutely. Everybody's one thing.
Okay, discussion time is over. May I have your attention, please? That's really good. You know, I used to get detention in school for having a loud voice and interrupting. But it turns out there's some benefits of it later in life. Okay, so if you look around the room, the purpose of using color post-it notes is that you don't have to know what was written on the note. You can look around and see that what people generally thought. We have the people who love the red post-it notes kind of up here in the front of the room. So what we're going to do is now, the only thing between you and lunch is each table, it has a spokesperson. Excuse me. Each table has a spokesperson who is going to stand up and share one thing, not one thing for each one of the 4 segments, one thing that you learned, you didn't learn, that you argued about the most, the insight that you got, the subject on which you spent most of your time, whatever. I don't care what the one thing is, but we only have time for one thing, so make it a good one. And I'm going to give you, if I tell you 1 minute for each one, I know you'll take 3. So I'm going to tell you 30 seconds. So you'll take a short period. This is not a book recording, right? This is what we follow. And we're going to start right here. We're going to go around the room this way in order to eliminate arguments. And this afternoon, when we do this again, we'll start over here and go this way.
So we're all gonna sit over there.
You may try to move as long as you can get the consensus and get everybody to move. That's the job of an emergency manager.
You're supposed to
Off you go.
speak right into the microphone.
And if you like to stand next to your charts and point, that's fine. Off you go. Please.
Okay, so if you were to look at our 2 analysis, Impact 1 analysis and an Impact 2 analysis, you see we're one of the pink people. I think that one of the things that we learned was that there was many avenues, if not almost all these avenues, that there was more than one person that experienced that there was major impact from flooding and coastal event. And that a lot of it also would occur as to where you were located personally, as to how much impact you might have thought those particular items had. Ones that were further from the coast didn't experience as much loss or flooding or direct impact from that, saw impacts to it, but didn't maybe didn't feel it had as, required a pink. That, it would be further down the line, because you see that we do go down all the way to the blue, and there are some greens. So a lot of that, was from our own personal experiences, and the ones that were closer to it had where everything was impacted, because those that were closer during Sandy, which kind of gave you an impact of when utilities are down, when supplies can get through, when things are flooded, when people are displaced, you would see that everything fell apart. So that's kind of our analysis, that your experience was a large part of how much impact you could enjoy.
which is why I asked the question this morning about, do you think that the public ought to pay for private impact? Do you think that the public authorities ought to be able to tell you to get out? Because that's the issue. How did you say it? The farther away from the impact area you are, the more open-minded you are on the subject, of course, right? Which is why Las Vegas was a good example, because we're all, 100, now those people, what do they know? They support those West Coast teams, right? Okay, here we go.
I knew it worked.
Thank you, that was excellent, just exactly what I want.
We basically had a consensus on the fourth area here on the organization or company that was impacted. We all agreed that retail was most impacted because that is the food and fuel sectors that had the most problems in the post-Sandy.
Sorry, which sectors?
The food and fuel.
Gas stations.
Yes.
7-Eleven.
We could be a 7-Eleven with a gas station.
There you go.
Yes.
We had that too.
We have Wawa. We never thought Wawas were that important still.
Oh, excellent. Right. And is everybody at your table in retail?
No.
Ah,
Nobody is.
Very open-minded of you. Very good. Great.
Very good consensus, Bill.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
knew
Which is the
what
whole
we
idea.
couldn't
Okay,
get.
so excellent. What's going to happen this afternoon is you're going to build off this. Okay, well now that I know what the impact is, what am I going to do about it? So I'm going to be looking for ideas from retail from you guys this afternoon. Excellent. Okay. Back here.
You took a run hole there.
Sure, they picked the guy with the tie. They were trying to put on the dog.
Hello. Well, is this on? Yeah. What we noticed right away was that transportation was our biggest impact. So we felt that if people couldn't get around, that lots of things just can't happen.
Primarily road transportation?
Yeah, road transportation. So if people can't move around, they can't go to work, supplies can't come in, debris can't go out.
Yep.
It causes
Big
a
issue
lot
is
of
that in
havoc.
many cases, many of the roads are also evacuation routes, right? And so if the water washes out the roadway and your evacuation route, you have a double problem, right?
So yeah, and we were very conscious about looking at it from the question about sea level rise. So not necessarily thinking of a storm event, but
Yeah,
just
good for you.
having
Good for
a higher water level.
Yes.
Then this we thought would be the highest impact.
Good for you. Excellent. That I think they win the award for the most diversity of color, right? Diversity promotion. Good for them. Okay.
Hi, I'll be quick. I think we kind of petered out at the end and just started talking and didn't adhere to our color situation. But what we determined is through all the many municipalities, what their rules and regulations with regards to land use and the importance of voting. Because the municipalities all determine what our destiny is, and perhaps through initiatives with impact studies and with the upcoming election, that's what I thought I think that all about.
Did you say voting?
Yeah,
Good for you. Wow. Very
because
nice.
some people die for that, right?
None of this is going to get sorted out except at the municipal and governmental level.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're the other risk-averse group. I sell insurance for a living. But what I want to point out here is
Namaste.
our community, we spent a significant amount of time discussing the impact on the schools. We started talking about the kids and the kids not being able to go to school. If they're not able to go to school, who's going to watch them when they're home and parents should be or are supposed to be going to work or being told they have to go to work or they're going to lose their jobs? Then we also looked at it from the other standpoint that the schools become shelters. If the schools are impacted and are unable to function as shelters, where do people go then? So there's a tremendous amount of debate at our table with respect to what happens to the schools in our community should we have an issue. Thank you.
Can I just ask a bit, how many of you voted for schools as the highest priority when the question about hospitals, schools? How many over here voted for school? Yeah, okay. Are you a teacher?
No, I'm not a teacher, but I saw the impact of the Sandy hit, and the children had to be displaced and have the mental health association. I still try to deal with the stress on the children.
I'm really glad that you did it, because the schools is the greatest example I can think of the knock-on effects. Right? If you lose power at the school, or you lose the foundation, or the building becomes uninhabitable, and the kids can't go to school, all of that cascades down. Transportation, people get, the bus drivers are either extra busy going to a new school, or they're out of work, right? It's a really, really, really good, excellent. Okay, so I actually got different insights from each group. So here's what's going to happen this afternoon. We're going to take the same 4 segments: infrastructure, people, community, your organization, and think about what does success at adapting look like to each of those communities. What does a school or a hospital or a government administrator or a property owner or a business owner, what does he or she think wishes would happen? And as a result of knowing that, what business opportunities can you identify for your own business? And think, it's facetious, but it's simple to remember, think Pop-Tarts. Right? What are the Pop-Tarts in my business? What is the home delivery service of my business? That's what we're going to do this afternoon, because the goal is that you leave at 3 o'clock today with at least one good business idea that you thought of, or that somebody else thought of at your table. Right? That would make your business bigger, stronger, faster, better looking, thinner, richer, whatever it is, and also made you more resilient to flooding and sea level. Okay? But you can, the Army marches on its stomach, which I understand from Ben is, take it away, Ben, stayed up all night cooking.
I was up all night cooking, so I have no voice today. Let me just give you a few directions here. Our lunch will be waiting for you right on the other side of this wall, which will be open in a second. It'll be a working lunch. So go in and grab yourself some food, sandwiches. There's soft drinks, soda, and so forth in there. The coffee remains down where you